Quick shot of our cross tower. I'm here in the Centennial Hall where we're going to have the reception for new Pastor Dan's ceremony that's going on upstairs.
Today you assembled representing the whole people of God, the entire church. To participate in an ordination is a rare and powerful event. On the one hand, I am glad you have every word in front of you, and on the other hand, I invite you to use your bulletins sparingly, so that so caught up in the text, you miss the ordination. And when you see discrepancies between what's printed and what I say, do remember, the bishop is right. I'm so sick of the Great Commission. Go therefore and make disciples. Teaching them. You pastors love that. Because you can build classrooms and get us in chairs and tell us what we should and shouldn't do. Wow. Who are you to be telling us what to do anyway? The next voice chimed in. What does the church have a right to teach us about? Have you heard of the Crusades, Dr. Seminary? And this making disciples thing feels like a Ponzi scheme. Amway. Oh. So what's this really about? Pastor wants us to talk to our families and tell them to come to church. And our kids say they're sick of hearing about what the church says we shouldn't and shouldn't do. Jesus will say, enter the kingdom of my Father prepared for you from the foundation of the earth, for I was hungry and he gave me something to eat. I was thirsty and he gave me a drink. I was sick and he visited me, and he cared for me. In prison and he visited me. And they will say when? He will say, when you did it to the least of these, you did it to me. It's not about, according to Matthew's version anyway, when the Son of Humanity comes, it's not about how many disciples we've racked up, how many baptisms are in our records, but how we care for the least. The Great Commission. From the readings you picked in, you got it right. You and I are men of unclean lips, among people of unclean lips, except for two things. Our lips have been made clean, not with cold, but in the waters of baptism. And our own eyes have seen God. Our own eyes have seen God. To see God not in a miraculous visions, but maybe. But more often we see God in the love of a parent for a child, and the love of a child for a parent. We see God in someone daring enough to extend forgiveness before the I'm sorry. We see God in people who for no reason help those in need. And when you push them hard enough, they mention the name of Jesus. We dare to believe that God, through Christ, has called us to be a public expression of God's presence in the world. That our lives have been set apart, set aside, to remind everyone that God is with us. And not only are you bold enough Seminary tell us they're prepared to do. And so today we come together, and with hands and prayer, we entrust to you the ministry of word and sacrament. We set you apart to preserve and proclaim the gospel.
I present the ordination of the ministry of word and sacrament of Daniel James Shady, who has been prepared, examined, and approved for this ministry, who has been called by the church to this ministry through Trinity Lutheran Church, Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Thanks be to God.
All baptized Christians are called to share Christ's ministry of love and service in the world for the glory of God and for the sake of the human family and the whole creation. According to the Acts documents, you are now to be trusted with the office of word and sacrament of one holy Catholic Church by the way of hands and by prayer. Will you assume this office, believing that the Church's call is God's call to the ministry of word and sacrament?
I will, and I ask God to help me.
Pour out your Holy Spirit upon Daniel James and fill him with the gifts of grace for the ministry of word and sacrament. Receive this stole as a sign of your work and live in obedience to the Lord Jesus Christ, serving his people and remembering his promise. Come to me, all you who are weary and carrying heavy burdens. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart. So discipline yourself in life and in teaching that you preserve the truth, giving no occasion for false purity or illusory hope. Witness faithfully to all, in word and deed, to all people. Give and receive comfort, and you serve in the truth. Be of good courage, for God has called you, and your labor in the Lord is not in vain. As assembled as God's people and speaking for the whole church, will you receive Daniel James Shady as a messenger of Christ, sent by God to serve all people with the gospel of hope and salvation? Will you regard him as a servant of Christ?
We will. We ask God to help us.
Will you commit yourself to this new trust and responsibility?
I will, and I ask God to help me.
Will you carry out this ministry in harmony with the constitutions of the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America?
I will, and I ask God to help me.
The office of Associate Pastor at Trinity Lutheran Church, Grand Rapids, Michigan, is committed to you in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. You may greet this new pastor.
All right, well, this is our call committee minus a few members. My name is Nick.
I'm Brad.
I'm Dawn. Rochelle.
And today's date is, what is today's date?
Saturday, March 19th.
March 19th. And I was just curious, when did the call committee form?
October 2015. And I think we met for the first time on November 5th. Was our first official meeting.
Awesome. And how many interviews did we have with Dan again? Was it 2 that we had?
We brought Dan in twice for two 2-day events. So over 4 days, we got to know Dan and got to the conclusion that we really wanted him here.
I remember on the way when we had the dinner for the first time, there's a rainbow that I got to see right before I met him for the first time. That was great. We did the tour around Grand Rapids when he was here, so that wasn't the first time, but the second time, I guess, meeting him. We sat down at dinner, and that rainbow was something special.
In December, the rainbow was in December.
Yeah, it
Very
was.
strange.
Very strange.
Well, it was also very impressive that one of our last times we were with him, we were watching the Minnesota Vikings, which is his team, lose in the last minutes of the game, and to watch a man watch their team lose and still have composure is very impressive.
Yes.
Nice. And Don, you went to, we saw Pastor Dan preach at
Comstock Park.
Zion Lutheran.
And that pastor is here today.
Nice.
Pastor Julie, yep,
Nice.
is here.
So, I guess kind of the last thing to wrap up, our council president, what was the most impressive thing about Pastor Shavy before we went through it with the official yes? What did you find most impressive about him?
I just think he's got a maturity about him, and that's probably because he is a little older for a first call pastor. He's in his mid-30s. He's now got a child. He's married, and I think he's not brand new and fresh. He's been around a little bit, and he's had some experience. He feels very comfortable.
And he
in
has
this role.
passion and enthusiasm and really wants people to own their own faith.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess why not all of us? Anything most impressive?
I think just his passion for youth and family ministry is what really struck me as awesome. He started out there, and I think his passion is going to continue to be there, and he's going to grow in a pastoral way to the larger church, but he's never going to forget the kids. I think that's awesome.
And the last thing that impressed me the most, I guess, was obviously he had about a decade of experience with being the youth director at different schools, but we also had, we were looking for a tech guy, so to speak, and he was a computer science major, so you can't get more tech than that, I don't think. So
Should be able to help us.
that was great. So
I think he's going to, just the way, his preaching style is so different than Pastor Bob, and I think it's such a good compliment, and I think this congregation will embrace it.
excellent.
And as the bishop said, this is a very exciting next step in his faith journey.
This was a great service. Even the bell choir, I love
Awesome.
the bell
Nice.
choir, and there was like a clarinet or a flute that was in
Marsha
there,
Shane
too.
on the flute.
That was great.
Nice job.
That was great. So this is our call committee minus 3 members, Allie,
Are you ready, Curtis?
Curtis
Curtis,
and Dan.
and Dan. So thank you so much for watching today, and let's go down to the reception and celebrate.
Cheers.
Wonderful.
Again, welcome. We're so happy to have you. Well, thank you all for coming into this day and this celebration. Thank you all for the steps you've played in me getting here. Members of Trinity, family, friends, folks from around. Thanks for being here. There's a lot of cake, and I don't want to take it home. So you need to eat it. Thank you for coming, and enjoy one another's company. Go back to eating and drinking. Okay.